Let's jump right into a situation that has the entire sports world holding its collective breath. Picture this. It's July 2026. We've just witnessed the most massive World Cup in history. We're talking 48 teams, 104 matches, and a truly global spectacle spread across 3 whole nations. It really should be this moment of absolute triumph for international football. But instead of a celebration, the football world is plunging headfirst into its biggest crisis in decades. We are looking at the shocking reality of an unprecedented, game-breaking boycott. So, what actually went wrong? Well, the catalyst for this whole crisis is a highly controversial proposal by FIFA. Recent documents and announcements have revealed this secret plan by football's governing body to actually sell a stake in the World Cup to private investors. Yeah, you heard that right. This one single move has sparked a massive, global tug-of-war that genuinely threatens to tear the beautiful game apart, fundamentally changing the sport for every single fan watching. In this explainer, we're going to objectively unpack exactly how we reached this breaking point. Our roadmap looks like this. First, the $20 billion plan. Then, Europe's unprecedented rebellion. After that, the case for democratization, followed by a rapidly expanding game, and finally, football at a crossroads. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The $20 billion plan. Inside FIFA Forward Enterprise. To actually understand all this outrage, we've got to look at the mechanics of what FIFA announced back on July 28th. And we are talking about absolutely staggering numbers here. Literally $20 billion. FIFA basically proposed creating a brand new commercial subsidiary called FIFA Forward Enterprise, or FFE for short. This new entity would take over all the commercial operations for FIFA's biggest events. We're talking the men's and women's World Cups, plus the Club World Cup. Broadcasting, sponsorship, ticketing, licensing, the whole shebang for the biggest sporting events on the planet, all housed under this new $20 billion valuation. Now, to be clear, FIFA isn't proposing to sell the whole thing. They would retain a permanent 79% majority ownership. But they are pitching that remaining 20 to 21% minority slice to private investors. The ultimate role? To raise up to $4.2 billion in fresh capital. And as for who these investors are, well, according to the source material, the global bank JP Morgan is advising on the deal, and a group led by Joshua Kushner is expected to be involved. Which brings us to Section 2, Europe's unprecedented rebellion, the backlash from UEFA. As you can probably imagine, bringing private equity into the World Cup, yeah, that did not go over quietly. In fact, it took a mere 2 days for this whole situation to just explode. Within 48 hours, UEFA, which is Europe's football governing body representing 55 member nations, held an emergency meeting. And the result of that meeting was a unanimous, devastating threat, a full-blown boycott of all FIFA tournaments if this plan actually goes ahead. A UEFA spokesperson made their stance crystal clear, saying that the World Cup absolutely cannot be treated as an investment product. If this boycott goes through, future World Cups would be totally stripped of European titans. Think about it. No England, no Germany, no Spain, France, or Italy. Football's biggest tournament would literally lose its biggest stars. And the outrage didn't stop with just the football executives. It compounded rapidly and spilled straight over into politics. Alexander Werle from the German FA really captured the philosophical pushback here, arguing that an association's overriding principle just shouldn't be profit maximization. And it went even higher up the chain. British Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy declared that football belongs to the fans, not billionaires. Even the European Union's sports commissioner weighed in to praise UEFA for defending the integrity of the game. It's become this fiercely shared view across Europe that this proposal sacrifices the sport's core model purely for corporate greed. But it is not just a European grievance either. CONCACAF, which represents North and Central America with its 41 member associations, also unanimously opposed the plan. So when you combine UEFA and CONCACAF, you're looking at nearly half of FIFA's 211 members in open, unified rebellion against this $20 billion deal. Okay, Section 3, the case for democratization, FIFA's financial defense. Let's look at the other side of this tug-of-war, because FIFA is definitely not backing down. President Gianni Infantino insists that this plan has been wildly misrepresented. Their core defenses are actually pretty straightforward. First, they stress that FIFA Forward Enterprise is just a proposal. It's part of a democratic consultation, not a done deal. Second, they guarantee that private investors would get absolutely zero governance or sporting control. FIFA alone would still dictate the regulations and calendars. Third, they point out that this massive injection of capital, which is over $10 billion spread over 4 years, would directly target developing stadiums, national training centers, grassroots programs, and women's football. And finally, they note that without the support of all 211 member associations, FFE just wouldn't be established at all. And honestly, when you look at the raw numbers, it's incredibly easy to see why over 150 developing nations are seriously tempted by this. Just imagine the financial reality for a smaller nation for a second. Under the old funding cycle, an association might receive around $8 million. But under this new private equity plan, their regular funding would nearly triple to $20 million for the 2027 to 2030 cycle, and then rise again to $24 million by 2035. Plus, each association would get a massive one-off payment of $20 million in early 2027. For smaller nations that rely almost entirely on FIFA grants just to survive, this isn't just a nice little bonus. This is absolute life-changing money that could transform their programs for generations. So we're essentially left with two fundamentally opposed worldviews driving this crisis. On one side, Infantino frames this as the ultimate wealth redistribution. He sees it as giving every nation a chance to develop in what he calls the democratization of football worldwide. But on the flip side, UEFA views this as a desperate attempt to protect the game's rich tradition from private equity, basically labeling the move as pure profit maximization and the literal selling out of football's soul. Section 4. A rapidly expanding game, pushing the boundaries of football. To fully grasp this conflict, we really need to zoom out for a second. This financial controversy doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's part of a much broader, highly aggressive expansion strategy by FIFA that's already generating some serious friction across the sport. Take the massive 2026 World Cup, which Infantino likened to 104 Super Bowls in 1 month. The expansion to 48 teams brought some genuinely incredible, inspiring stories. We got World Cup debuts for Curaçao, Jordan, Uzbekistan, and Cape Verde. Think about the 40-year-old Cape Verdean goalkeeper Vozinha, who captivated millions as his tiny nation of just over 500,000 people took mighty Argentina to extra time in the knockouts. Without expansion, that kind of magic just doesn't happen. But critics are quick to point out the severe downsides. They argue that this expansion drastically diluted the overall quality of the tournament, resulting in 72 group matches that some labeled as tensionless non-events just to eliminate 16 teams. And FIFA's relentless pace of expansion, it is not slowing down anytime soon. We just had the 48-team tournament. In 2027, Brazil is set to host a massive 64-match Women's World Cup. And looking ahead to 2030, well, documents show FIFA's actually already opened a tender on an accelerated timeline to assess expanding the Men's World Cup to an astonishing 64 teams. I mean, that is just a mind-blowing scale. Now, this move is heavily opposed by Europe and North America, but if it happens across the 2030 host nations of Morocco, Portugal, Spain, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay, it would completely redefine the sheer size of the sport. Section 5. Football at a crossroads. The ultimate ultimatum. This all brings our explainer to its climax. Because of this rapid expansion, these staggering amounts of money, and these deeply entrenched worldviews, the sport is essentially paralyzed right now. Here is the ultimate stalemate. If FIFA pushes forward with the $20 billion plan, UEFA and CONCACAF have basically vowed to boycott. That means no European teams, no European clubs in FIFA tournaments, and a World Cup diminished perhaps beyond repair. But if FIFA backs down, well, $4.2 billion in private investment vanishes, and over 150 developing nations are deprived of the transformative funding they desperately need to grow their football programs. Right now, there is absolutely no easy compromise on the table. Which leaves us with a profound philosophical dilemma. At the very heart of this battle for football's soul is one fundamental question. What is the World Cup? Is it a global celebration of sport that intrinsically belongs to everyone, completely untethered from private equity? Or, in the modern era, is it a commercial asset that can, and perhaps should, be leveraged to redistribute wealth and grow the game globally? FIFA's 211 member associations will eventually have to vote on this, and the whole world is going to be watching. So, what do you think the future of the beautiful game should look like?